Good afternoon, everyone. We are still on the topic of creativity and problem solving. The next thing we're going to look at is problem solving skills, and in particular, the problem solving cycle. There are 7 steps in this cycle, and you'll need to know this in grade 11 and in matric. But what you need to understand about problem solving is that it is a mental process. So think about a time when you've got an algebraic equation that you need to solve. You are mentally going through a process to try and solve it. So if we look at the first step in the problem solving is identifying the problem, right? So what does this mean? It means be clear about what the problem is, right? Really try and get to the root cause of it. The second one is to define the problem, right? So the problem may be that you identified that your sales have decreased. And if we look at step 2, which says define the problem, right? So why are our sales decreasing? What has caused that? Is it because the interest rate went up and people have less disposable income? Or is it because there is no demand for your product anymore? For example, skinny jeans are not fashionable anymore. What is the real problem? I often like to use an example of, for step 1, identify the problem. Your girlfriend has just dumped you. Define the problem. Why did she dump you? Well, actually, you didn't treat her very nicely. You didn't wish her on her birthday. You didn't buy her roses for Valentine's Day. So can you see the difference between identifying the problem and then defining the problem? The third step is to formulate a strategy. Basically, it means come up with a plan. So let's say you wanted to get back with your girlfriend. How would you go about doing this? Would buying her a bunch of red roses help? Or let's take the example of our sales having dropped. How do we fix this problem? Okay, so you come up with a number of strategies, a number of plans. The fourth step in this problem-solving cycle is implementing the strategy. Okay, so you've come up with a series of plans in step 3. Now you choose one and you implement, you put it into action, right? But before you can put it into action, we move on to step 5, which talks about allocating resources. So in other words, deploy the resources, whether it's financial, technological, human resources, to implement this strategy, right? Step 6 is monitor. Is this strategy working, right? Has everyone got the resources they need? Is our problem dissipating? And then step 7, evaluate the process. In other words, did this strategy work? Have our sales increased because of the strategy that we have put in place? So the need for creative problem solving arises between step 2 and step 3, right? Step 2 was define the problem and step 3 was formulate the strategy. Once the problem is defined and everybody agrees on all the issues that impact on the problem, then the creative thinking process must find the correct strategy to respond to that particular problem. So to overcome that gap between step 2 and step 3, businesses will need to make a list of all the needs that the solution must satisfy. Brainstorm possible solutions. Evaluate possible solutions. Will that really work? Select the best possible solution or opinion. Write up a very clear plan on how, who, and when these issues need to be raised. And lastly, decide on the monitoring process for the strategy. So for example, if our strategy was to implement a 25% discount on all items so that we can get more cash in, right, because we are not making enough sales and our cash flow is rather low. So we implement a 25% sale on every single item, knowing that on some we are going to actually incur a loss. How would I monitor this process? Well, quite easily, because you can measure how much cash is coming in. Then you'd need to have a look and see, of that cash, how much of that is profit. So just to recap, the problem-solving cycle is made up of 7 steps.